Wow, what a day. This is Sandi Maki, and you are joining me for heavy breathing just before midnight. So, my day started out bright and early this morning with a mentoring meeting session with a fellow mastermind group member that I had suggested. This individual is doing so much to put new energy into the world in entrepreneurial ventures and in inspiring people. And I suggested that we get together, he, I, and one other person, because from the outside, it is always so easy to be objective. When we are not invested into something emotionally or personally, it is easier to see more clearly where patterns of behavior keep repeating themselves or maybe missteps are occurring. So I wanted to take the opportunity this morning to point out some of those to this particular individual who is very, very receptive when things like this come up. So it was a very interesting, action-packed 2-hour session where I think there were a lot of aha moments, which is really pretty cool. I think because of the amount of aha moments that seem to pass through my day every day, I might just have to take to carrying around a digital voice recorder because I am driving down the road and dictating to myself some of the things that I'd like to be talking about when I actually turn the recording on here for the podcast session. And I have all kinds of ideas, so many running through my head at any given time. And then I sit down in front of the computer and I hit the record button. And some of the thoughts that I had earlier in the day, which I thought would be so phenomenal to share, end up disappearing. I don't know where they go. And I don't write them down when I'm having them, which I suppose I could start there. But then it wouldn't be quite as random and interesting to me. So therefore, I don't do it. Anyway, the day started off with a fun meeting, to say the least. And then some feedback on the meeting, which I think was great. So we'll see what comes of it. And if there is anything interesting to share with you in the future, I will be sure to give you an update. So the topic for today that I would like to touch on just a little bit in our time together here is about abundance. I am really thinking along the lines of abundance, getting rich, the science of getting rich, the law of attraction, and anything that you could possibly wrap into this topic. I do a lot of reading, so a lot of what I share may end up being derived from jumping off points that I've gotten from reading books. So it's no surprise that today I had a little bit of time on my hands and I was reading a book that I picked up a couple of weeks ago. And I haven't read through this really, really quickly, but every time I pick up this book, I just have such aha moments that go along with it. It is really a cool and interesting thing. So the book is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and it is by T. Harv Eker. From what I understand in reading this book is the author does seminars that help people get out of their way when it comes to having a millionaire mind. From the beginning of the book, the very first chapter, I was inspired by the book. And then along the way, there have been so many, aha, I see, now I get it, which is just really, really cool. So that's a gift that a book gives you. It's also a challenge if you're the only person that's reading the book, because I do end up sharing a lot of the books that I read with people that are around me. Most of the time, if we can pass the books to each other quickly enough, and we can each get through them, then we can have some pretty cool discussions about what the book brought up in us. So I am just waiting for somebody else to pick up this book. I'm tempted to really buy it for everybody that I know. So if you're in one of my circles, this book does come with a high amount of recommendation. and you may end up getting a copy of it from me. So you've got to love a book that starts out, and in the first sentence, the author says, "Don't believe a word that I say," which was a very profound point to start out with. The author suggests this because he can only speak from his own experience. So none of what he shares is really true or false, right or wrong. It's simply a reflection of his own results and things that he's been able to put together. Now, yeah, try that one on in your mind. Read a book, but don't believe anything it says because you need to draw your own conclusions. Fascinating, fascinating. This book goes beyond just talking about money, and he talks about your money blueprint and how the programming that you were subject to, whether you'd like to call it programming or conditioning or upbringing, whatever that is. When we're in our childhood, we are influenced by everything around us, and unconsciously or subconsciously, the things that happen in our lives form blueprints that we end up putting in our mental filing cabinet until something comes up and we need to go into our filing cabinet to find out what we know about this particular situation. So this book touches on money, but it could apply to every other aspect of life that you could even consider putting it into. So, he starts out with a great explanation of what your money blueprint is and how, as we are children, inadvertent comments that our parents make, teachers make, friends and family make, those form this picture in our head and they kind of anchor themselves and it becomes our money blueprint. So your money blueprint is not the same as anyone else's. Even if you grow up in the same family, I think you can have very different money blueprints because at the point that something embeds itself into your blueprint, it's conditional upon where that's coming from, who said it, but it's also conditional upon how you were feeling in that moment. So if you were scared in a moment when a blueprint puts its stamp in there, when you call that up from your memory, you might have thoughts of fear associated with it. If you were in a happy place when this blueprint is stamped, then when you call this thought up next time, it'll be in a happy place. So you could have been sitting side by side with somebody else and witnessed the exact same thing or heard the exact same thing, and yet your money blueprints or your life blueprints are going to be very, very different because it's all a matter of that perception and how it gets filed. So one of the things that really concerns me then about this money blueprint is how to be a conscious parent and be able to set my children up in the best way. As I've been reading through this book, I'm reminded that it is so easy to be objective about other people. So as I'm reading some of the examples in the book, I am associating them with different people that I know could have been known to say something like this, or, this is definitely a pattern that I see in someone else. And I'm trying to witness these patterns in my own life, which again is why I'm so excited for people that I know who are close to me to read the book, because I'm hoping that they can shed some objective insights on my thought patterns, because I know that my thought patterns could use improvement all the time. Hence the reading of books and exploring new concepts and trying to put this all together. So, whoever is first on here gets dibs with, being objective with Sandi. So let's go for that. So anyway, I'm reading the book and seeing all these objective moments for other people and trying to analyze, okay, so what would some of mine be? All at the same time, this continual thought goes in my head that if our blueprint for life and our blueprint for money is set when we are a child, and if I have children, and if I am aware that what is going on in their lives right now as children is going to set them up for the rest of their lives, how can I be the most effective parent possible? How can I make conscious parenting choices that will help them create as expansive and extensive a blueprint as possible? And I would like it to be expansive and extensive, and I would like my children to be phenomenally successful to a degree that I can only dream of. Because if that happens, then I know that I did my job. I did the best that I could to position them in the place that would be the best for their life. So, money and the money blueprint and children, mine happen to be 15 and 13 years old, so they are old enough to comprehend a lot of this, and they're probably old enough that they've already been conditioned to some point. In my parenting style, I do strive to be as conscious as possible. And when my kids ask me a question, I do try to think past my knee-jerk reaction or my gut reaction. And that gut reaction or that knee-jerk reaction simply comes from programming, and I'm aware of that. You know, I have some kind of a tape in my head when sentence A is said, sentence B is the response. So I really do stop myself in the moments where I recognize that this is happening and I contemplate, is that really my answer? Does it really matter? Do I really care? How can I empower my children to make their own choice in this situation and support that? How can I help to make their world broader? So I really do try to do that, and based on how awesome my kids are, I think I'm doing a pretty decent job, and I am sure that I could do better. So with the money blueprint, you know, I'm having a little bit of trouble maybe myself being exactly objective about what some of my patterns are. And I'm thinking, how can I set my kids up so that their blueprint doesn't have any of my baggage in it, doesn't have any of their, any of the other influences in our lives, so it doesn't have any of their baggage in it. I think one of the first things I'm going to do is have them each read this book and or study a Cliff Notes version of it so that we can talk about how someone else's view of money or of any situation doesn't need to become yours, and have the conversation that kids, you're kids, and a lot of the perspectives that you're gaining right now as a result of witnessing things and being involved in conversations and seeing my reaction to things and seeing other people's reactions to things, those are all forming this mental picture of how you view the world. And then I'm going to empower my kids to make their own choices. So once they read the book or once they have this discussion with me, I would like to open their awareness to making the conscious choice for what they let in and what they don't let in. So their money blueprint can be so much more wide open than mine, and their life blueprint can be so much more wide open than mine. There's probably a certain level of development that it takes for someone to really understand this concept. So do I imagine that my children right now at the ages that they are, 15 and 13, do I think that they will be able to look at this with the same viewpoint that they will be able to look at it when they're 20 or 40 or 60? I don't think so, because I think with that life experience comes a new level of the ability to reflect, and if certainly there's more experiences in there to pull from. So I guess that I hope, again, not having a blueprint, a guidebook, or the guidebooks that I've seen maybe I don't necessarily agree with. Without having that, I'm trying to make some of these choices to put this into their life in the most positive way. I guess I'm wondering if you have come across anything similar to this in your life. Do you have examples that you could share with me or with others to help, broaden the view of the world for kids, especially? That's a really obvious one. But then also to broaden the view of the world for adults, which is exactly what's happening when somebody picks up this book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. As an adult, your thoughts about things are challenged, and then you can come to new conclusions about them. So I guess I would ponder that. Let me touch on just a couple of the concepts from the book that I think are worth mentioning and at least putting on your radar. And then I really do hope that you find a copy of the book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker, E-K-E-R. Pick it up and read it and ponder some of the things that come up. So one of the concepts in his wealth principles that is really common to a lot of life principles is that thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, and actions lead to results. So when it comes to money, your financial blueprint and your money blueprint, they depend on a combination of how you think about things, your thoughts, your feelings, how you feel about it when you're thinking about it, how you feel or felt about something when it was first added to your blueprint, and then what actions are taken on purpose or maybe happen as a byproduct of what's going on. And then those end up coming into the results. So there's so many things that go into this. There's verbal programming. There are thoughts that our subconscious mind chooses. The more intense an emotion that we're feeling when something is introduced to us, the more embedded that's going to be. And I think the harder it is for us to overcome that or change whatever that was programmed into. So the advice for changing this verbal programming is become aware of anything that's going into it. And when it comes to the money aspect, awareness of anything you've heard about money, wealth, rich people, and base these from when you were a child because they are still going to be coming up in this blueprint cycle. And then take a look at how you think these statements have affected your life, your choices, your financial life. And then the key, he says, is disassociation. Look objectively at these thoughts that you have an understanding of in your life and disassociate from them. Realize that they're just a thought that you have about this situation, and take yourself to a place where you can see that you have a choice whether to accept this thought or feeling or put it back on the shelf and choose something that might serve you a little bit better. If you are from a family, a background, a life where you had all of these naturally programmed into you in the more abundant thinking way, I would love to hear some examples of how that happened. Very, very often, we need to continually try to rewrite over tapes that are not serving us in the best way. And I guess we can thank our wonderful, lovely egos for that because that's their job. They want to create unrest in our mind and create limits in our lives and things like that. So they are there to serve us. And when I use the word ego, I am using it based on the Eckhart Tolle model of the ego as an entity that is somewhat separate yet within us, that is responsible for maybe the little bit less optimistic slant that a lot of things would have. So that's how I'm using it. But, you know, becoming aware of the conscious thought to accept things or change things and overcome that ego influence that we have is really a great key. So if you were set up for life without having to overcome some of these negative loops, I would absolutely love to hear more about that. And if you have consciously overcome some of these loops, even better, and please also share that. So there's a couple other things just from the book that I would like to go over. But before I wrap up the part where we can observe the thoughts that we have being programmed into us about money, perhaps an activity that I should do with my children is have them do that exercise. Up to this point in their life, have them reiterate some of the things and the thoughts and the feelings that they have about money, and then look at where those come from. And I would think that right now, because they're still children, that we could examine those thoughts, and if we have a conversation about it, I can probably really help to recharge those and change those in a certain way so that they don't have to take them with them into adulthood. And maybe even the simple concept that, hey guys, you really don't have to take this into your adulthood. You get to make the choice. You know, I bet that would be mighty empowering. which the author of this book shares a similar sentiment, that consciousness is observing your thoughts and actions so that you can live from true choice in the present moment rather than being run by programming from the past. So no matter what age people are, whether it's me at my age, someone older than me, or my children, we all have the ability to make those choices of which thoughts we're going to let into our life. So a couple other just basic things that, again, apply to money, abundance, life, and everything else is that you can choose to think in ways that will support you in happiness and success. Period. End of story. There's no reason that you have to choose anything other than thoughts that get you to the happiest, most abundant place. And if you're listening to what I just said and you're disagreeing with me in your head, in your heart, or in your gut, here's an opportunity to take a look at that statement. Because maybe somewhere in your childhood, in your blueprint, somebody said, yeah, it's not all about you. You can't just go be happy. You have to sacrifice. You have to work hard. You have to blah, 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 whatever that is. So take a look at that thought, and then as it starts to run through your head, just say, yeah, that's a lot of blah, 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 and I choose not to carry it with me into my future any longer. Thank you for serving me. You're done now. Bye-bye. I think that would be a great place to start with that. I could keep going on this book, and I'm sure that I will. At the moment, though, I think that I really need to go have a serious chat with my kids. And, we do have chats about life and life perspectives a lot of the time. And I like to explore the way that they feel about things, and then I like to really empower them to have that door wide open and figure out what it is that they're really looking to put into their blueprint themselves. So this will just be another really awesome thing. So let me leave you with this thought as it comes to money and it comes to life. One of the principles in the book, yet a standing life principle. It also piggybacks on the Science of Getting Rich, which I have been recording and will be released very, very shortly for your listening enjoyment in the car and on iTunes and in a CD format. But the thought is this. The number one reason that most people don't get what they want is that they don't know what they want. And I think it's sometimes hard for people to come up with what they want because, again, that programming blueprint says that you're not allowed to get what you want. Or who are you to think that you deserve to get what you want? And any other random, obscure thought that could come up that is so charged in your blueprint that there's not really any way of avoiding it other than to consciously reprogram. So when you think about what you want and then you maybe picture something in your mind and then you start to list all the reasons why it's not possible or why you can't have it or how it's just not going to come into being for you, then you need to consciously choose to change that thought and to reprogram that I do deserve to get what I want. And I absolutely am going to get what I want because I have gotten what I want up to this point. And if you've gotten what you want up to this point and it is not what you would like to have ultimately, then that just means that you somehow aren't believing in yourself and in that thought quite enough. So, until you listen to the next episode of Heavy Breathing just before midnight, practice observing your thoughts when those blueprint opportunities come up in your life and in the life of those around you. Practice observing those and going through the steps of coming to an awareness about what it is you're observing. Understand how they have affected you to this point in your life so far. Look at them objectively and disassociate them so that you know that you are not your thoughts and feelings and that you can make the conscious choice to put whatever thoughts and feelings in front of you and into your life that will serve you in the greatest and best way. And then do that again and again and again. Pretty soon it'll be on autopilot, just like any of the programming of that blueprint that you have to this point that happened without consciously looking at it. So the hope is, and the plan is, to live making conscious choices that become so routine that abundance follows.